I was sent a document from 2010 that was published by the Rockefeller Foundation. The Rockefeller Foundation obviously is a front for the Rockefeller family, which is fundamentally involved in this global cult. In fact, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers were the creators of the World Health Organization, which is there to control health policy and direct the perception of health in all its forms from a central point.
You don't trust the WHO at all?
Well, it's currently headed by a guy called Tedros from Ethiopia, who was a Politburo member in a Marxist government that's been running Ethiopia for a long time. He was health minister and was exposed 3 times for covering up cholera epidemics in Ethiopia. And now he's head of the World Health Organization telling us about the coronavirus. You will understand if I don't agree or even believe a word that comes out of his mouth. See, these organizations are not there to serve the public. They're there to serve this agenda. So who came out and said, oh no, don't touch cash, you pass on the virus, just use Tedros, same guy. He's the one that praised China for a wonderful job they did with the coronavirus and what have you. Now, this Rockefeller Foundation document was about a scenario involving a flu pandemic. And it described what would happen, that China would use authoritarian, draconian methods to meet the challenge, and then the West wouldn't basically start like that, but then would become the same. And this whole global lockdown was described in this document. And then we moved to 6 weeks before the virus came to light in China. And we had something called Event 201. This was a simulation of a coronavirus pandemic, which involved the World Economic Forum, which has its meeting every year in Davos. This is the 1%, and involved the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates, the guy that wants to vaccinate the frickin' world, and by the way, is funding the electronic tracking of people so that the authorities know if they've been vaccinated or not, through an organization he funds called Gavi. And they ran this simulation called Event 201, in which they inserted, scenario or simulated news reports. And if you watch them, you can see it on the internet. It's just like the news reports we're seeing in the media. And they were discussing, okay, what can we do? And there was a whole area of this simulation where they're discussing how they control information. And they're saying, how do we deal with the anti-vaxxers? How do we make sure that the official narrative of the pandemic is the one that's dominating the internet and all these lines of communication, and not what they call conspiracy theories, putting another point of view. And all these things that they talked about in this scenario have happened. We've had Facebook and Google saying that they're going to make sure that, first of all, the World Health Organization version gets free advertisements, and they're going to suppress the other opinion, what they call conspiracies and what have you, and disinformation and fake news. Who decides if it is? They do. We've had YouTube this week say that because they don't have the same number of staff, they're going to now have videos taken down purely by AI algorithms. And because of that, they say a lot more videos are going to be taken down even those that don't, break what they call community guidelines. So all these things that were decided in this Gates World Economic Forum 1% simulation 6 weeks before that they should happen are happening.
And that was all public information about them doing that, or you got the report about it? Okay.
No. I read the actual document of the Rockefeller Foundation, its scenario, which is exactly what's played out. But the Event 201 simulation was filmed. You can see it on the internet.
Okay. And now they're running that playbook right now.
Exactly the same. Another thing is that at the same time that simulation was taking place, 10,000 military personnel and support staff were attending the World Military Games in Wuhan, China. So that is, I'm not saying this happened, but what we have to put, if we're not going to be scammed and just believe the official narrative, we have to explore possibilities. And another possibility is that World Military Games was a wonderful front to release some kind of virus in that same area. So all these things are something that have to be explored and put into the mix, because what happens if you only believe the official version of everything is the official solution for the problem you believe in is going to take us further and further down the road to a society that would make George Orwell bloody wince. And all the things that I've said, this cult wants, this cult is getting as a result of this coronavirus.
Okay. Imagine this, David. Today, Trump comes out and says, to save American lives, I've decided in your safety to use all of your mobile phones to track the people that have gotten...
Israel's just done it.
Have they?
Israel's just changed the law so they can legally track their population through their mobile phones.
I think I saw that. Now, what if Trump came out and said this to Americans and said, in your safety, to save our population, I have to do a federal order and track everyone's data from now on and where you're going in order to make sure you don't kill the old people and all of that stuff. Most people, David, in the current state of fear would say, thank you, sir.
Save me, save me.
And like you said, for the people that refuse to do it, they would vilify them because you're the one that's going to kill my grandma and do all that stuff.
I'm already seeing...
That's scary.
I'm already seeing articles by academics, not least in America, saying if people aren't vaccinated, they should never be allowed to fly. You know, so when something is being so pushed by a system that couldn't give a damn about the health of the population, look at all the crap in food that is legally allowed, never should be, and all these other things. Look at the pharmaceutical cartel, Big Pharma. The third biggest cause of death in the United States is the frickin' treatment after heart disease and cancer. They care about the health of the population. How does Big Pharma get its money? By the population being sick. And I'll tell you what, Brian, I will take this system seriously. I will think, oh, well, maybe they do care a little bit. When they come out, mainstream everything, mainstream medicine, and say, here is how you boost and strengthen your immune system. Vitamin A, vitamin D3, vitamin C, something to boost the thyroid function, which produces vitamin A. Let's do that. Let's get the immune system going. What are they saying instead? Oh, it's weakened immune systems that why people are dying. Okay, so what are you telling them about how to boost their immune system? Well, they're not. Because, first of all, even on a purely financial level, in terms of Big Pharma, what would a strong immune system in the population in general do? Their profits would absolutely frickin' plummet. Because it's weakened immune systems that are their profit margin. And you know, some doctors who actually have sussed it are pointing out, you know, that it's not the virus that's killing people. It's their immune system that's killing them. Because it works like this. If you've got a strong immune system, there are different levels of the immune system. It's very complex, and you know, mainstream medicine doesn't understand it yet. Honest people within it will actually agree with that. So it's making decisions on vaccines and all this stuff. It doesn't even understand the immune system and how it works. Anyway, there are different levels of it. So you get a virus, the first level will meet it, then the second level will meet it, which is much more specific to that virus. This is the level that creates the reaction that's absolutely encoded to meet that particular threat. And at that point, gone. This is why 80% of people have mild symptoms, because this is what's happening. You get a mild fever, yes, because the immune system's using heat to kill the virus. It's like throwing up. That's the immune system getting rid of something before it does real damage to the body. But when your immune system is compromised through lack of nutrients, shit food, and all the rest of it, these levels of the immune system can't cope, especially if you are someone who has other health problems, because the immune system's already kind of working flat out on that. So what happens then when they fail is the immune system in effect panics, and it unleashes something called a cytokine storm. And these are a substance that is released by the cells, and it is the equivalent of a machine gun firing in all directions, because it's desperate. And I'll give you an analogy of what I mean. An intruder breaks into a house. The homeowner is fighting to deal with the intruder. The intruder's winning, the homeowner's losing, and it's getting desperate. He's getting desperate. So he grabs a gun, and he's so panicked, he's shooting in every direction and shoots at himself. So what this cytokine storm does is unleash this tidal wave of reaction. And it is so powerful and so unfocused that it attacks its own body and kills the body. And you know something? With a coronavirus, when there's a cytokine storm, you know what it attacks? The lungs. And it causes inflammation and gunge in the lungs as a result of that attack. And what are people dying of coronavirus? The elderly and with other health problems. They're dying of respiratory problems.
Pneumonia.
Yeah, and pneumonia. That's another thing. If you read the consequences of a cytokine storm on a coronavirus, it leads to attacks on the lungs, which leads to pneumonia. So as these doctors who are, you know, prepared to tell the truth are pointing out, it's weakened immune systems that are causing people to die.